Everything tends to correct in BMX. Everything's weak, so we're going to make it so strong you can't break it. Not really can't break it, but as durable as possible. And then you back that off to where it is today, where things are more balanced. They're a lot lighter than they were in the early 90s, and they're also very strong. When the weather's good, I ride street, and I ride our outdoor concrete park. We have an excellent concrete park. A lot of days I'll start my day off by going there at 6 a.m. I'm not too involved in the industry per se. I don't really go to anything. I mean, I go to race events, I go to small freestyle events put on by individuals. I don't do interbike. I don't hobnob around, you know, I just do my thing here in Iowa.
What do you think of that dude?
I'd say that he's actually pretty good. I saw him from all the way over here, and going in the bowl like that, I think that he's got it.
Hi, I'm Rick Moliterno. I'm sitting here in my office at Standard Byke Company. When I was 6 or 7 years old when I started riding BMX, I would have never imagined back then that I'd still be doing it as I cross a milestone. I just turned 50. Before I was a freestyler, I raced a lot. In the Quad Cities, we had 2 local tracks and we had a really strong scene here. So I was really into racing, and then it just kind of, you know, I jumped and did what would now be called street, did tricks wherever, you know, parking lots. It went together. There was no separate thing called freestyle, but we still did off the track stunts and tricks. And then all of it just kind of progressed, you know, just went that direction.
Although Rick eventually made it to AA Pro on the racetrack, he was being drawn to a new form of riding that was gaining interest around the world, and finally made the switch to freestyle full-time. He quickly garnered support from his local bike shop, where he worked, putting on shows in parking lots to cheering crowds. While checking out a touring hutch team in Iowa, he caught the attention of Flatland Pro Woody Itzen, who helped him get a frame and his first major sponsor, Hutch. And soon he was on the road doing shows with vert legend Mike Dominguez. In the fall of 1986, Rick left Hutch and became teammates with riders like Matt Hoffman, Joe Gratola, Ron Wilkerson, and Dennis McCoy on the iconic Team Haro. As the 80s came to a close, the show era of freestyle was being left behind. The large corporate frame manufacturers weren't keeping pace with the demands of the new progressive tricks being invented in skate parks and on street. As the 1990s got going, the BMX market seemed to be going in one direction, while the level of riding was going in another. Then came 1991, when Rick and a few Midwest cohorts stepped into the new era of rider-owned bike companies, joining the likes of Wilkerson Airlines, Homeless, S&M, Hoffman Bikes, and other early pioneers. Together, these companies would devise their own plans for the industry and change the future of BMX forever.
We started Standard in November of 1991. That was when we kind of officially started it. We were already kind of planning it before that. Bike riding was changing. The bikes from the show era weren't holding up to what was going on in the skate park and on street. I think I was going through 4 Haro frames a month, which was too many. It seemed like every time something would break so bad you couldn't ride, it was during a really good progressive session. So you'd get pissed that you had to stop. Me and the other guys decided to give it a go ourselves and make things that would hold up to the riding. Whatever the stuff was at the time, we did it, you know, like we were more or less creating it. We're like, hey, check this out. We'd just sit around together all night on our bikes or ride around town. We started Standard in November of 1991. That was when we kind of officially started it. We were already kind of planning it before that. We just went real durable and increased the wall thickness and diameter of almost everything on the bike. Some of the stuff was a little overbuilt, but that was our whole motivation, to make them be so strong, your bike breaking would be the last thing you'd worry about. We never thought they were too heavy, but we were also very aggressive and in our peak physical condition, so we were strong and we were motivated. We were excited about having our own brand. And all the other parts were heavy as well. So yeah, the frame was heavy, but the wheels were heavy, the pegs were heavy, stems were, every part was heavy. In the old days, the dropouts were a lot bigger as well as thicker because sprockets were bigger. We were trying to protect the sprocket from grinds and street riding, from destroying either your teeth on your freewheel or knocking your coaster sprocket off because it was held on with a snap ring for most people. We took the same process when it came to forks. We put thicker laser cut 4130 dropouts on there. We went with bigger fork legs, bigger diameter and heavier wall. We went with one-piece machined, and at the time, at first, they were threaded steer tubes. We borrowed from mountain biking the threadless 1.1 to get a bigger diameter steer tube. We developed the threadless stem, the threadless fork. We chose between 1.1 and 1.25. We went with 1.1, figured out all the wall thicknesses by trial and error. We were, as far as I know, we're the first BMX company to do it, yes. Looking back on it, it feels like the industry really took to it real well, the 1.1 threadless stuff. But at the time, it felt like it was taking forever because we had to wait for all the other stuff to catch up around it. We had to wait for gyros to be able to clear the bigger headsets. It was only a few months, but back then it felt like it took 3 years, you know. Waterford Precision Cycles in Wisconsin made our bikes and did a great job for over a decade. And then a key employee left there, which left the owner as our relationship with that company. And he wasn't as into or motivated to do BMX. And eventually it got to the point we were getting so very little supply that we had to either make our own or quit doing it. I never saw China as an option. I always feel like I'm an American, I live in America, so I'm just gonna build them here. When we went in-house, it was a key moment for us. I'd talked about doing it myself for 15 years, and it was time to get off the pot. So around 2008, pushed all my chips in and bought a couple machines, talked to Waterford and bought some of the fixturing, took the learning curve upon myself and hired a couple of key people that understand manufacturing and how to get the operation going, and leaned on them heavily to get us rolling. And what this has enabled us to do is it's made us more flexible, it's made us more up to date. I have way more hands on the product than I ever could have before, just by being right here in it. My job has increased, I don't know, incredibly. I order raw materials, myself and another guy build every frame, handlebar, fork. I pack the box myself or another person packs frames. There's 3 people here. All 3 of us touch every bike that comes through here in some way.
Who do you think you are, Rick Moliterno? Yes, I am. I want my life back!
I've always been focused on the business side of things and really driven with it because I felt like I had a point to make with myself about taking things to a better level product-wise. Once it got there, when it kind of changed everything, I kind of was lost for a minute, like what do I want to do with this thing? I did what I set out to do. So I just took the motivation to do this, build the bikes with my hands, keep making them at a very high level, and then also build relationships with people a little better, and also reconnect with people that were awesome in the past that maybe I didn't get to spend enough time with, or spend enough quality time talking to, or things like that. My riding today, I would say, is a refined version. I'm not pushing so hard because I'm so busy in the shop. I built a small setup here at Standard, but I'm trying to maintain a lot of the stuff I've done over the years, and I just do whatever's fun on a given day. I'm not really, you know, trying to progress as much as I used to. I'm just fun-driven more so than progression-driven. get usually twice a day riding during the good weather. And in the winter, I ride my ramps after work most nights, and then I'll hit some road trips to different indoor parks, places like Ray's, just to keep myself riding something different and keep growing the riding and maintaining what I can already do. I'm motivated to come here and build Standard bikes, mostly because I still ride and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I always say, if I stop riding, I'm selling the company, I'm not gonna do it anymore. But I also get great motivation from seeing other riders ride our bikes and they hold up to their riding and the dudes swear by them like people that just won't ride anything else. There's a definite movement of older riders that either keep riding or get back into it. It's like some of them go away for a while, maybe when they establish their family, their careers, get married, have kids. But it seems like once BMX is really in your blood, it never really goes away.
Now later this week, you'll see the BMX Hell Track finale.
Drew, yeah, sign my cast? Sure. Don't be intimidated by those guys out there. Just go for it. Thanks, Rick.
The last 23 years has been such a crazy ride. It's just been full throttle the whole time. If anything, I could say maybe it would have been nice if I could have slowed down and enjoyed it a little more.
Oh my God, look at the mark.
You know, just enjoyed all the moments instead of full throttling through everything all the time. I do that now. I stop and enjoy what we're doing. I don't pay attention to what other companies do. I pay attention to the riders, the riding, what's going on in that way. I think team riders help define a company. I feel like that's something that changes with eras. There's been times when we've had some of the best talent on earth and times when we've only had a couple of guys. Not many companies have, say, a guy or a crew of guys that it's the same crew for their whole history. It's the natural way of things. People are gonna branch off. Their time around anybody is gonna be limited. And especially if it's intense people, you can only take each other so much. You know, you usually get really good for a reason. And then if you're like that, you're gonna butt heads sometime, or you're gonna stick together and create something crazy together, you know? Riders that gravitate to Standard are the same type of riders that always have. Guys with a lot of character, highly skilled, fun to be around in any situation. People you can jump in a vehicle and travel 3,000 miles with and come back friends, you know? People like to explore life through riding. At the end of the day, I do it this way because I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and know I made things as good as they can be at that point in time when bikes are being made. I use the best materials, very good machining, very good welding. We do our research with geometry. I just want to make sure I'm giving people what they expect, and I don't want to let go of it and trust someone else to do that. I feel like the more you let go of things, the more they can get away from you, and they stop being what you want them to be. I want to still be riding into my 60s. I'd like to keep doing this. You know, if I'm riding into my 60s, I can build frames into my 60s. I wish I could see the future of where I'm going and where Standard's going. I'm going to keep building bikes as long as I ride them, and I'm going to keep riding them as long as it's fun. So whatever that brings me, I'm open to it. Moving forward on the horizon for Standard, I see a lot more of the same. For instance, more traveling, more getting out to meet people, spreading the good word, letting people know we're out here building stuff they want to ride, showing them the fun we have, getting out there and laughing with people on bikes, and then also making a good product they can be happy with. Staying involved in the thing I love.